Welcome to Courageous Conversations with Lionheart Coaching Co., where we talk about the hard parts of our journey and the courage it can sometimes take to find our way back to ourselves. I'm your host, Mandy Woodard, and on this episode, my friend Sharon Farinholt comes to have a conversation with us about many things that she has experienced in her life, from owning businesses to raising 7 kids to selling businesses. And of course, she shares about some of the hard parts of her journey. All right, let's get into it. Well, hello there. Welcome back. Welcome for the first time. No matter what, I'm just glad that you're here. I have to start off by saying how grateful I am for the messages that I have been receiving about the podcast lately. One that's really been surprising me, though, is the sound of my voice. And I want to tell you this because this is something that was a belief within me, and maybe why I deep down stalled and didn't start this sooner, is a lot of times in my life, some of the people close to me have told me that my voice is annoying or irritating. One of those people being my husband, if I'm going to be fully transparent, because when we were younger, and please remember we've been together for almost 20 years, but when we were younger and we would have arguments, he would tell me that my voice is so annoying. And I think I've had some siblings say that to me, probably not anybody outside of my family, but definitely some family members. And, this is how these beliefs are created, is we hear things and we take them on as truth. And it's really important that we get clear on what's true and what's not true. So for the longest time, I felt like people didn't want to hear me talking. And so now having this podcast, one of the most common messages I get is about my voice. And it's quite surprising to me, but also nice, because it has kind of helped me rewrite a belief that I had that my voice was annoying for people. So thank you so much for your kind words and your support. It really does mean so much to me. I have to start off by sharing about the coffee in my cup right now. As you may know, if you've been listening for a little bit now, Cordial Coffee out of Berryville provides coffee for me and my guests when we're recording. So I'm going to give them a shout out and tell you, if you would like to stop by, I feel like this right now is the perfect time of year to pop into their little shop in Berryville. They have gluten-free waffles and a great menu for all kinds of different drinks. So pop in, check it out, and then if you'd like to get some delivered regularly, you can go to cordialcoffee.com/shop. Use code podcast and you'll get $5 off your first order. Okay, so now let me tell you a little bit about my guests today. I met Sharon at a networking event in Old Town Winchester, and she was so friendly and so kind. Definitely knows how to work the room to walk around and meet people, not shy in any way that I saw anyhow. But her energy is so lovely to be around. Like, you want to go and talk to her. So that's what happened. We kind of found each other. She gave me her business card. I gave her mine. And then later she sent me an email and asked if I'd like to have coffee one morning. So we did. And we met up in Old Town again, funny enough, and had such a good conversation. I mean, there are people that you can just sit and talk to and time just flies and you don't realize it. And she is one of those people. We can talk about literally anything under the sun. We'll talk about business and then we'll jump to kids and then all the way back around to business again. I know she's accomplished quite a bit in her life, and she does so much to help others too, which I just love to see. She has a podcast herself where she has local business owners come on and talk about what they do and give them this platform to kind of share. And I just think that's so fantastic. She also has that, life coaches, we have training, but there is an innate piece that comes with being a life coach. And I feel like she has that innate piece. And even though she is not a life coach, she really, truly just has that, would you just say, that it factor for it. I knew she would come and share about her journey, but also be able to share the silver lining, which I find is so, so important. All of us have a story, and I love sitting here and talking to people and hearing their stories. But what I find is so valuable to the listeners and to me, even as I'm talking to these guests I have, is their knowledge that they gained, the lessons that they learned from what they went through. And I'm so grateful she came and had a conversation with me and shared some parts of her story that I definitely hadn't heard before. She is super busy, but rocking it out. You know, a lot of times we think the word busy is a bad thing. I think she does so well, and she blocks out her rest time too. So that's important. And the fact that she was able to take so much time out of her day to come to my home and talk to me just meant so much. And I know you're going to get something out of this conversation. I almost feel like this is another one of those episodes where you could very much highlight some of these key things that she says and just hold on to it. Put it in your little bag of golden nuggets. Okay, so we did jump right in yet again. I will say this too, before you start listening, I'm learning so much doing this podcast this year, and I can't wait to jump into season 2, which I'll share more about that in the next couple episodes. So make sure you come back and listen. But I am learning how to really begin these things. And when I'm editing back, it sometimes feels like a rocky start. So I'm grateful for you hanging in there. And maybe you don't notice the rocky start. I notice my rocky start, and it's me. It's all me. It's a me thing, but I'm learning, and I'm so grateful you're here along for the ride and a part of this journey with me. So, all right, no more waiting. Let's jump right in. Here is my courageous conversation with Sharon Farinholt. You're a realtor, but you do so much. I don't feel like I feel like whenever I say, do you know who she is? She's a realtor. It's like, that doesn't feel like the right, because you do so many things.
I call myself an entrepreneur.
I would call you that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted you to come on here because of a couple different things. One, I really enjoy my conversations with you.
And we had a good time.
Yeah. So we met in Old Town and chatted that day. And then I got to come record on your podcast, which was so much fun. And it was right around the time that I was starting to get everything together for me. So it was a good experience.
Yeah, it was good because you got to learn a little bit about podcasting from what I had going on. I always think collaboration's a good thing. Learn from one another.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's fun to be able to be. It's funny because I was like, I'm going to be interviewed this time. I like being the one to interview. I want to be on the hot seat.
Well, I guess I am asking you questions, but I like it to be more of a conversation, so it's all good. So you do real estate.
Yes.
But you also do a podcast. You also, do you help other business owners with coaching other real estate agents?
I'm not a coach, but I do
mentor.
Coaching and mentoring. Yes. Yeah. Like I sat yesterday with an agent that has been doing it, been an agent. I think she said it was like 30, no, hold on a second, going into her 40th year of being a real estate agent. And I just sat for an hour and a half helping her like figure out like how to rebrand herself. And, you know, she's like in her mid 60s and doesn't want to be finished yet. So
I love that.
Yeah, sat with her and took some time and tried to help her figure out, you know, how to reinvent herself.
Yeah.
So,
that's great.
Yeah, so I love doing things like that. I do. I feel like that we're all put on earth to help one another and help one another grow. So it's something that I enjoy doing.
And I'm right there with you, 1,000%. But you only have done real estate for what, the last 2 years?
Yeah, I got my license right at the start of the pandemic. So I sold my previous business January 1st, 2020, was fully licensed because that's a process, February 28th of 2020.
Right.
And so February 28th, what day was the whole shutdown? March 13th or something?
I think it is.
Yes,
I feel like that's the day we're not going to forget.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So 2 weeks later, the world shut down.
Yeah. Oh gosh. And then did you panic or were you like, this is fine, we'll be okay?
I used it as a time to figure out how to continue business growth. I didn't, the world stopped, but we personally can't stop when that happens. So it was trying to figure out, maybe I was at a bit of an advantage in that I didn't already have a system in place. So I figured out how to put systems in place that would work in a pandemic world, basically.
Yeah.
So I just used that time to dive in. I was a little frustrated at times, kind of went back and forth on whether I wanted to. By summertime, I'd had one closing and just went back and forth on, is this what I wanted to do? I was having a hard time getting mentors and getting the help that I needed. And then I talked to a friend who isn't an agent, and I'm just telling her my frustrations, and she was like, well, it just seems like you need to be around somebody like to give you guidance.
Right.
And so she mentioned a mutual friend of ours who I got together with. And then I changed agencies, and it was a game changer.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because so then I had 6 closings by December. So I changed agencies in September. By December, I had 6 real estate closings.
Wow.
So I think it just with the confidence and having that support made a big difference.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So that's, I think, one of the reasons why I like basically paying it forward.
Right.
Because I had people do that for me, and, I like to be able to help others also.
Yeah.
Trying to grow in their career. No matter how many years they've been in it. We can all learn from each other.
Well, and I think, too, when you have fresh eyes, so you have fresh eyes on it.
Right.
We've been looking at the same page for the last 10, 15 years. You kind of start to miss things because the words get blurry, right? But somebody else comes stand next to you and says, hey, did you notice that?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Like, oh, light bulb.
Well, we're creatures of habit, which can be good, but can also be bad if you don't freshen it up some.
Oh, I agree.
You have
and that can be really hard for people because they get in their rhythm and don't want to shift or change things.
And things that worked for a long time. I find people that keep beating their head against the wall thinking, why isn't it working now? I can't change it. This worked for so long before their head is hurting so badly and they realize that it is time to change.
Yeah. It takes like a boulder.
Because it's that fear.
Right.
Of the unknown, jumping into something a different way.
Oh, I feel like I talk about that a lot with people because they get, I don't want to say stuck in their careers, but they begin a career. They plan to be there for a lifetime, but then they're not happy or the conditions aren't the way they should be or conducive for having a family or anything like that.
Right.
And it's that fear of leaving because I did all that schooling. I got all those certifications. Yeah. I've got to do this thing. And it's like,
yeah. I ask people that quite often. Just was with a girlfriend, last week sometime, and she was just frustrated and work. And I was like, what would you be doing if you weren't doing this? And she's like, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it. I was like, why not? You're never too old to reinvent yourself, So why not?
Agree.
Why don't you think of what you might want to be doing that you're not? Or maybe something that complements this on the side.
So do you think you'll ever be a life coach? Because I feel like that's a
funny.
Life coach question.
I kind of do it naturally.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think having 7 kids maybe played a part in that. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm publishing this book, which has some coaching things in it. So
I can't wait to
I'm not a big fan in having a bunch of different businesses going on, but if I can find a way that something complements my business that I'm currently in, then I'll do that.
Oh, yeah.
So right now, mentoring, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm helping people in business and helping people in real estate. I enjoy doing. I'm working with a young lady in Maryland who's a realtor. My niece in Florida is a realtor. We had an hour phone conversation yesterday, just helping each other and I just am a big fan of collaborating.
I love it. Well, and I agree with what you said about making sure it complements what you're doing because I have been in that space where I'm spinning 8 plates in the air.
Yeah.
Different, totally different.
Yeah.
And they don't complement each other. And boy, I felt like I was grinding my gears.
Yep. And then you don't, what I have found is then you don't do anything like really well. That might be a strong statement, but
no, I agree. It's true.
You do everything like okay.
Yeah.
But if you can find a way and like as far as like the coaching and mentoring, that's kind of happening organically.
Yeah.
So, or even like my podcast, like I'm not trying to make money on it. Maybe, I know some people do.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
If it happens organically, that's great. But, right now it's something that complements being an entrepreneur. And
also allowing more people to learn who you are. Because there are a lot of realtors out there, but when you know one and you know you like them, you know that you're going to get a call.
I kind of like defy the mold of the normal realtor of like, here I am. If you visualize like maybe more in the past, what's a realtor? Perfect, hair perfect, everything. Like, you're going to see me like finishing a run and sweaty and, like my social media, like I put up who I am and not who I want people to think I am, because I think it's important for them to know and want to be with Sharon Farinholt, not the pretend Sharon Farinholt.
I love that you're breaking that mold, because I do remember, and I don't know that it was that long ago, and it may still be lingering, that picture of a realtor needing to have. And the pressure, though, for that person to have to walk out into public and always be on.
Oh, yeah.
Is I couldn't imagine having to do that every day, because I don't have the energy to do that every day.
Yeah. No, it's it has been interesting, and that, starting new, 2.5 years. I kind of look at September as 2020 was my real start. So we're like 2 years into where I really was able to dive in and practice, the business of real estate. And for me, being new, I wondered, like, are people going to want to work with me?
Yeah.
Because I've been doing this a long time. But I think being transparent in that I don't know everything, but I'm going to work like heck to try to find the answers for you is important. Yeah. So if if I was a new agent and went, and let's say you were going to sell your house and I tried to pretend I knew all the answers, you're going to see right through that. Right. Right?
Well, some people can't, and that's what's unfortunate, because then they get sold this pipe dream. Yeah. But I appreciate that. Yeah. Because I will see right through.
You'll see right through them. Right. Yeah. Some people won't. You're right. Right. But I would prefer to be transparent, and like the things that I need to understand or find answers to, I'm always going to have somebody that I can ask.
There's always a resource available.
And I think not being afraid to say that, like, Mandy, that's a good question. This is the first time I've been asked this. Yeah. Let me get back to you later this afternoon. I'm going to do a little bit of homework on it. And I'd rather give you a correct answer than a guess.
I feel like I'm so glad you just said that, because I think that needs to become the norm. I have clients that will be afraid to start something because they feel like they need all the answers. No. And it really is so beneficial, and it builds a better relationship with the people you're going to be working with, honestly.
Yep, absolutely.
When you can say, hey, let me actually get the information on that, because I don't know right now.
My previous business, awards recognition business, I started that with never having a business class in my life. 10 days of training up in New York. Wow. 10 days of training, and came back and opened a business.
Oh, now I want to hear about this. What was it?
It was Crown Trophy here in Winchester.
Oh, yeah, you did tell me that.
Yeah. So I sold that in January 2020. Okay. But I had it for 11 years beforehand, and just, figured out how to run a business. But I wasn't afraid to ask questions, and I wasn't afraid to tell customers that, you know what, you're the first person to want to, to order this. Let me figure this out. Let me make sure I can serve you the best way I can by getting more information and then getting back to you.
And did you love it or hate it or get burnt out? Like, what made you want to make a switch?
I absolutely loved it. I did. I really did. I just took so much joy in, like, you're giving people awards. Like, it was so fun. It was just such a fun business, being in the recognition business. Yeah. And like, I knew who won everything. before anybody did.
That's kind of cool.
But I mean, what pleasure it was to like be in the background making these, knowing that somebody's going to be receiving this and it's going to be on their shelf for years and maybe passed down to someone else. Like I loved that I just took such pride in that. And just maybe too much, even because I know my employees would be like, oh my gosh, like you want perfection. I'm like, this is good. True
though. Actually, right there in the corner of my shelf is an award my grandmother received from Avon.
Right?
Back.
That's beautiful.
I think in the 60s?
Oh, yeah. I see it there. Uh-huh.
Yep. 70. 69 and 70.
And here you have it on your shelf now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So to me I was, in a way humbled to be able to do that.
I think that's
and I took
awesome
it seriously.
You looked at it like that.
And so I did. I loved it. I did a lot. So at one point, when it was very important as a business owner to have your business grow in sales also. Mm-hmm. And to me, to grow in sales, you have to know like your why. It's not about like, I've got to just make money. It's like, what can I do to service people better to help this grow is the way I look at it. So, so between, I think it was year 4 and 5, maybe, I think it was, they were flat. My sales were flat. So I had another, store owner, because it was a franchise, come in, look at everything and give like, what do you see? Like, what can I do different? Like, I'm like frustrated. I'm trying, to, and he said, you got to think outside the box. And so I ended up becoming, the walls, the recognition walls, the naming walls on like, you see like hospitals and so forth. Yeah. So I became the recognition wall specialist. I learned recognition walls.
Oh,
and like naming rooms, like when you go into buildings, and rooms are named and buildings are named. Yeah. I did the cancer center.
That's awesome.
Valley Health. Like that was, I was there from it's like when it was first starting. And like when they were building it, like I had a hard hat on going in to make sure that the wall was supported correctly for the recognition wall. And
that's so great.
To watch this building go up and to be a small part of it, to me, like it just is what this community is about.
Yeah, that is like what community
play
is
a part
about.
in
That's
this.
True. Yeah,
and to know somebody would be sitting there on a rocking chair in the garden out there and see a bronze casting for a tree that's named for somebody, and now I played a little part in that by making that the most beautiful bronze casting I could. Yeah, for them to look at. I just love that. So yes, I loved the business.
I appreciate that because you see things just get made and manufactured and
you don't think anything of it.
You don't, and you wonder too how much care actually went into it, or did they just shove it through the machine and get it out there as quick as possible?
Yeah, no, not at all. It was everything I had to look at before it. Well, I can't say every time. Things like the recognition wall, I would, there were things when we were doing, hundreds of trophies, would take a glance at, but I definitely tried to have my eyes on everything before it went out the door. Yeah. Because in the end, it was my name.
Right.
So.
I mean, that's always very important to me too. I have to make sure things, I'm very similar to you in that way of like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it right.
Right.
And I want to make sure it's nice and clean.
Exactly.
And it has my name on it.
Yeah.
So when I was a photographer, I paid attention to every detail.
Yeah.
If I didn't catch it in camera, I edited it later.
Absolutely.
And then even with this, I'm going to listen to this podcast 3 times before I actually publish it, because I will listen once, I will edit once, and then I'll listen to it all together, because
you're tied to it.
I care a lot about these things that a lot of people don't, but I think it's important. So I want to talk about this though. I don't want to say how did you do it, because I feel like that's a stupid question, but you had 7 kids and was the trophy business the first thing you did, or were you home with them? What did you do
before that?
Before all that, when you were first starting your family, what did you do?
It's funny because I realized, and I never really realized that until recently, that I always had some kind of, like, even as a kid, like I was the one that went around knocking on doors selling the gift wrap. Yeah. Or, like I was always trying to do I had the lemonade stands. Like, I always had something that I was doing. So I didn't realize that I had that entrepreneur brain from an early age.
Right. You don't know that that's what's happening.
No, but looking back, I realized that. So my husband and I, we got married in 85.
Mm-hmm.
And we have our 7 kids, 11 grandkids, and 2 more on the way. I raised them. I stayed home, but had some small businesses on the side. I was a clown. And
you did tell me that. I love it. I love
did professional clowning for years. And I could go on the weekend where he could watch the kids. And I marketed it. I mean, it was before social media.
Right.
I had to go out. I had business cards. I passed those things out all over the place. I had them on the bulletin boards at the grocery store. And I was really busy with that. I did a lot of corporate parties. Went to clown convention, learned how to do
that's
things.
So great. What an experience to be able to look back at.
So that was one I could do with kids. Every now and then one of my kids would dress up and go with me.
Oh,
and,
fun.
So that was fun memories. I quit that. I had for a very short time. I had a magazine, but it was a health and fitness one. But that I only did a couple of only a few of them because the business partner I was working with, they got transferred, and it was just too much for me to do my own. And I actually got really sick and was hospitalized. So I just kind of had to I was at a point where I needed to keep selling ads to keep it going or stop. And I didn't want to spend people's money that if I wasn't going to be able to produce for them. So I just decided to just stop that.
Was it hard to make that decision though?
I mean, it was a smart business decision because that isn't my money.
Right.
It's somebody else's.
Yeah.
And I couldn't give it 100% on my own. Mm-hmm. And so I only felt comfortable moving forward with it if it was something that I could, give 100% to. So no, not really. I mean, I loved, I learned so much from it, from doing that business. And so, let's see, I've done some little things, over the years, but my biggest thing was opening the recognition retail business. And
what pushed you to do that? What made you want to do that?
Well, I always wanted to. My dad was an entrepreneur. He was an air traffic controller, lost his job in the 80s and opened up a business, and he franchised it and passed away in 2001. But I loved being a part of that because I was still in high school and seeing how, he grew the business and his involvement in the community and how important community was. We lived in Loudon at the time.
Okay.
And so I just had it in me. I wanted to have a business. I almost I won't say obsessed over it, but I just the internet was a thing then. I mean, it's so funny how
I know
showing our age. But so I'm just Googling, what can I do? What business? And I remember I was talking to a couple of friends of mine that we went out and I said I can't figure out what it is that I want to do, but there's something I want to do, and it has to complement being able to raise my family also.
Right.
And my friend said, you know what, you'll know. Sharon, don't just let it go.
Yeah.
You'll know.
That's the best advice.
Yeah. And I was he's right. I just need to take a deep breath. And the other thing that was pushed me, to be honest, is my husband almost died. He had a double hematoma of his brain.
Wow.
Yeah. So I realized at that time, and I was pregnant with our youngest, that I may have to support a family. He was on disability for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I hadn't gone to college. I'd taken some classes, but I hadn't completed my degree. And it was what can I do? What am I going to do? So I was almost obsessing over that. And he was just relax. You'll figure it out. You'll know.
Right.
And so that was in the fall. And then that spring, I was handing out trophies at Apple Blossom. I was the co-director of the team.
Oh, okay.
The kids race in the 10K. And they were all wrong.
Oh.
And so I was having to hand out these trophies. And they were wrong. And I was you know what? I could do this.
Yeah.
This business. So that was May. I just started Googling, awards business, trophy business. And then I came across Crown Trophy. And so I was a franchise, which I liked the idea of a franchise because you have the support then.
Yeah.
And went to New York. This was all the same year. went and talked to, this was 2008, went and talked to a bank. It was Wachovia.
Mm-hmm.
And knew the lender, talked to him, had to sell him on how I could make this work. He agreed to it, got the loan. So fall opened up. Got the business going, couldn't open up the shop yet. It was being built out, but started it from my home, and the banks crashed.
Oh gosh.
So Friday I got the loan, signed everything.
So what year was this?
2008.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. So I talk about this sometimes with entrepreneurs, is when they start the business in the dead of winter, and that was considered the dead of winter.
Exactly. I tend to do that because that was the same thing with COVID with real estate.
Right. You did.
Yes. So by February, the shop was ready. And I'll never forget, like I had a trophy. I'm like holding a water bottle here in my hand, and all built, and I put it on my shop shelf. People come in. I put it on there, and I looked at my husband. I said, I have nowhere to go but up. I was like, there are other businesses that are up and they're dropping. They're going to drop.
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm starting from scratch. I'm at a great place.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be hard, but I have nowhere to go but up.
What a mindset.
So that was, my first, yep, I'm going to grow up. It might be slower than what I'd hoped.
Right.
But I have nowhere to go but up. So, yeah. So
have you always had that mindset, that optimistic mindset?
I think I do. I can drive some people crazy because they'll be like whining about something, and I'm like, but look at this. I'm like, shut up. I just want to whine. And then it's like, okay, it's okay for me to whine, but
Right. I'm the same way though. I'm always going to look for the silver lining.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, how can we make this better?
It's always so much easier to hear to know when somebody else is going through it, to see it from an outside perspective.
Right.
But so I got that going. Oh yeah, I was an appraiser beforehand.
Oh, okay.
Real estate appraiser, right before the market crashed. So I was still in training with that. So I didn't love it, but it was something I could do with my kids. 2008, I opened up the business. 2009, I started working from my home, had this big engraver delivered to my garage, started doing business outside of from my garage. And then by February 2009, I had the doors open.
That's so awesome.
I had it for 11 years. Yeah.
That's great.
So, yep.
And you homeschooled your kids at the same time? Didn't you tell me that?
I did homeschool my kids for 9 years. They were back in school.
Okay.
So remember they're 7, so it's like...
Right, a staggered time.
Yeah. So they were back in school. So my youngest, she was in preschool when I started. Mm-hmm. And she had like this little big wheel, and she would like zip all around the store, the shop when we were building that. And then I have to my friends, my tribe, are incredible.
That's great.
I had friends, because my biggest fear was, how am I going to still be able to take care of them? My husband worked in Northern Virginia. They were in school, and I had so many people that just I don't deserve it, jumped in and helped. And that just amazed me of how much people want to help. Yeah. And so I had a friend that Elena was in preschool, I drive by your shop every day. I'll just drop her off. Aww. And, snow days, I still had to go open up my shop, but I had to get them to school, and drop them off at my house. I'll take care of them. I've got, got some breakfast here. I'll take care of them. That's so great. I just feel very, very blessed to be surrounded by the people that I am, because I wouldn't be where I am without them.
That's so great.
It's so many really levels, does take not support. Just business.
Yeah, it really does take a lot of support. Mm-hmm. And I know not everybody has that. And I mean, me and Richie have it a little bit with our kids, but for the most part, it's what has kept me from really going all in any particular thing, is needing to still be mom.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I gotta still be mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom guilt is a whole thing.
Well, and too, I got to be here. I got to take them to their appointments. There's nobody else that's going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd be surprised though.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say it. I sound old saying it, but I do feel we might be getting post-COVID away from helping each other.
I agree with you.
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all very singular minded right now. What do I need to do to survive?
Right.
Instead of what do we need to do to help one another survive?
Right.
And so that's something that I've seen, which is, I think your position can be more difficult.
Yeah.
But don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Because people normally don't mind helping if you ask.
This year I did go in though. Mm-hmm. This is the first year I've actually put the gas to the floor because I went and gotten a place and to be able to see people in person. Whether I have kids or not, though, I have to watch how much I work because I will get wiped out. I'll totally
you asked like why did I sell and start something new? I did get a little bit. I did start getting burned out. I was working a lot of hours, like you were saying, like it was a lot of hours. There were many times my family came in and, they would help out, and it's really cute. I would make like little trophies, send them to my grandkids, and they would be like, oh, we always know when it's a gift from Nani because it has a trophy on the box. But so that was fun. But so the family helped whenever need be. But I was missing out on some things that, now I had grandkids and I wanted to be able to be there, to be able to see them. I tried not to miss any of my kids' events. I did a pretty good job of that.
Right.
But that would mean going to an event and then going back to the shop.
Yeah.
At, 9:00 at night.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And finishing what I needed to finish because I wanted to be there to see what they, to watch them.
Of course.
And so then we're going to the next layer with grandkids.
Right.
And so it was becoming a lot. And I'll be honest, this was like right before the pandemic. Employees, it was exhausting.
Yeah.
It just was so tiring. And because I took so much pride in making sure everything was to my standards. One of my employees that I had for 5 years, he told me regularly, like, your standards are too high. Your standards are too high. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not. Like, this is what, I want things to look good before they go out. But they were for some. And so, or not only because some didn't even want to work. Yeah. So, I had a couple of really great employees over the years that I will always be grateful for. But the fill-ins that you needed, to make the business run, they came and went. Yeah. And it was hard. And so that required more of my time, there. I always had a manager that could run it when I wasn't there, but the best run business is one where the owner is present. Right. And so, so that was it. So I needed to come up with an exit strategy and figure out what to do to sell it, because a business is only worth what somebody will want to pay for it. And I didn't want to close it because I put way too much work into it. So, I just started talking, and you have to kind of keep it on the down low. No one can know. Right. So, so I had to be a little strategic and trying to figure out how to sell it and not have it out there that I was selling. Right. So in the background, I sold it to my manager, and in the background, I was working on getting my real estate license. Okay. So, because first of all, I have to do something. Yeah. I'd go crazy. Right. And that just seemed like a good fit with the family.
Right. And now your youngest has gone to college. So I'm laughing because everybody always says, like, and I say it too, it goes fast, cherish every moment. I'm here. I'm with it. I'm cherishing it. Even when I'm walking on a soaking wet bathroom floor and then slipping and
broken
falling.
Chair.
Right. Broken chair. broke my pen. Like, I'm here. But I would be a liar if I didn't say that sometimes I'm like, man, what's that going to be like?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because she just went to school. So my husband and I are empty nesters for the first time. And I joked the other night, I'm like, we're like two little old people. We're like making homemade soup. We have like, you want a little square of chocolate? Like, sitting there having our little square of chocolate together. Like, oh my gosh, we're like two old people. Like, it reminds us of my grandparents.
That's so funny.
But I was just went on vacation with two other couples. They still had kids at home. Yeah. And it was homecoming, so they were like pulling up the pictures and talking to their kids. And it was the first time I realized I have absolutely nothing to add to this conversation. Oh, like I loved seeing their kids and what they're doing, and it made me a little sad and made them a little envious. Yeah, so you just realize like we're never really happy. Right. But it made me realize like, wow, I am in a different place in life. Yeah, like, I have no one else to be responsible for, my husband and I, but ourselves. Right. And so, with that, it is a different place. So you kind of miss what you had. But you have to figure out how I mean, my biggest advice I give to every couple, with kids, and is always make sure you date each other. Mm-hmm. Because if your life is only centered around them, you're going to be kind of lonely.
Right.
When the kids are out of the house.
Oh, yeah. Like, how are you gonna... Mm-hmm. Well, it took us a while to realize that. We've been together for almost 20 years, but we didn't go on our first couples trip until 2019.
Yeah, you have to have that time together.
Yeah. Well, we saw the value in it, and now we make it a priority.
Exactly. You have to, really. So, yeah, so we enjoy our time together, which is good. That he and I, through it all, having the 7 kids, still enjoy one another and love one another and are best friends. Yeah. So that makes a big difference. So I don't know. We're trying to figure out, our thing right now is like, oh, let's make soups this winter. Like, woo! I'm not a jigsaw puzzle person. He loves baking. I don't. This is something kind of fun we can do together. Summer times I like much better. Like she left in August. We got a pool. Yeah. Sitting out by the pool, having charcuterie and sipping wine, listening to music.
Sounds wonderful to me.
And now it's dark at 5. Like, what are we going to do? Like, how many Netflix can you watch?
Right. I left the office last night and it felt like it was the middle of the night. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. But where I used to leave, I'd leave sometimes at 7 at my business and get home and I was exhausted, and it was pretty much time to go to bed, and it was dark when I'd leave, but I didn't really know because it was light in my office. So it's, this is new for me, just figuring out being home and not having to go run to a cross-country meet. Yeah. Or, a school's event.
Right.
And so, there's a group of moms who still have younger kids on the cross-country team that Elena, our youngest, ran on last year. And they tried to include me in the group. And there's a new group coming up. And,
right.
And I was like, you know what, guys? Like, I love you guys. If you want to go out, just our small group periodically, I'm good with that. But it's a new group. Like, you guys keep doing your thing. I got to figure out what mine is.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna always be at the school. I've done it for how many years now?
Right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was a great school. James did my kids well. It was super, but I'm done.
I'd imagine I'll be pretty done by the time that comes.
I'm done. Yeah. So, I need to figure out. So this year, I guess, is our first year to try to figure out what that new normal looks like.
Yeah. Did you have your kids close together?
Yeah, we had the first 3 2.5 years apart, and then 4 years, and then the next 3 2.5 years apart, or 2 years was one of them, and then 4 years.
Okay, that's funny.
So, yeah. And so
the boys are only 3.5, and then Scarlett and my middle son are 5 years apart. So I don't know, it's like a long stretch, but we started super young, so I feel like we're going to be done when everybody else is still in the thick of it.
Oh yeah, you will be for sure.
Yeah.
What's really cool that I love is our oldest and youngest are 17 years apart, and they get along so well.
Aww.
Elena's out at George Mason and she runs for them.
Yeah.
And our oldest Jake, he and his family are in Bowie, Maryland, and they go to some of her races. And I just love that. Like, they'll be on the phone talking to each other, and I love that they. You think when you have them, like, oh, this, she's never going to know her older brothers, and she's close to them all. And 4 girls, 3 boys, and the sisters are inseparable.
That's a little unheard of, maybe.
Yeah, they are so close. Yes, so
My
close.
kids are in a season of deciding if they like each other.
Oh, yeah. But when they're adults, it's kind of neat
That's
to
what,
see.
Yeah, that's what, I mean, my husband was really torturous to his little brother, who is 6 years younger than him, and now they talk constantly.
Yeah, so
it's
as
constant.
They grow, it's definitely, you see them mature. So,
I mean, my husband was so mean to his brother, like, dare I say, some of the stories.
Yeah, and
like, damn near sent the kid to the hospital.
Oh my gosh. But it looks like all was forgiven.
Right. All is good. I want to ask you this question. If you don't want to answer it, that's okay. But with 7 kids and 7 different personalities, did you ever have any really hard moments? Or were they all kind of easygoing? How was it?
I mean, they're always, I say I have 7 opposites.
Yeah.
Although as I get older, I see more similarities in some of them. No, there are always, a hard time can be somebody going through a breakup.
Yeah.
So there are always going to be the hard times, and,
Right.
how you respond to that is, as what makes them get through the situation, or, they weren't perfect kids by any means.
Yeah.
And, one thing I try to really, really, just instill in all of them is respect.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't have to like your brother or your sister right now, but you do have to respect them.
Well, did they respond to that?
Well, it's funny now because they laugh about, I hear the things like what happened in the background now. Like, my one son and daughter, I'm like, I want you two to go, here's money, go to Chick-fil-A, you figure this out, you work it out, you come back. Like, I don't want any more of this arguing, you come back. So they come back, they're like, yeah, we're good, all good, thanks, Mom. I hear the story now, they were like, sweet, we get free lunch. You sit over at that table. And when we come back, we're telling Mom everything is okay,
Well, I guess your plan worked because all you wanted was the arguing to stop.
You're right. So whether or not they liked each other,
that feels like a brilliant plan. Okay, give me more. What else you got? Like,
well, that was my big thing, is there has to be respect, and then it's big. Like, everybody had to help out around the house, and even though you didn't like to, like, whether there were chores or, like, my whole thing was like, you need to, and this sounds so cheesy, but like, because who likes doing chores? But like, do it joyfully. Like,
right.
You like think about, like, you're helping the family by doing this, and who are you helping? And you're making your attitude worse. Go put some music on.
Right.
Like, just vacuum the floors, but do it like.
Have fun with it.
Doing, instead of having, like, I don't want to do this, this sucks, like, so you try to make them see it in a different light, but
I needed that reminder. We kind of fall off of the chore schedule sometimes because especially if they're in sports and like my oldest isn't getting home till late, and then he's got to eat dinner and maybe do his homework.
I did almost always. One of the things that I had, like, even like when we were struggling to rub two nickels together, I almost always had somebody come once a month and do a big cleaning in my house.
Oh, yeah.
And she's still with me.
Yeah.
I love it. Like, she's helped my kids, seen them since they were young.
Yeah.
But and she loves cleaning. Does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
She, like, now cleans a lot of the houses that I'm selling, and, like,
good.
Yeah. So it's but to me it was worth having, like, a good deep cleaning, and then I didn't stress as much over somebody you need to vacuum,
right?
Because I at least knew that once a month it was getting a good.
We've started
cleaning.
that here too because we went through a period where we had somebody coming consistently, and then it fell off, and then now I'm like, no, we have to. There's no way two parents can work.
Yeah, exactly,
and take care of all of that. It's insane to think.
It's a demanding world we live in.
It really
days.
is. Yeah.
So, but my kids also needed to know that they weren't entitled to this.
Right.
They still needed to help out, and they still needed to do chores. So.
Right. Yeah. No, we had that conversation. I'm like, if you want her to come in your room,
clean
you must first clean your room.
Mine always, they were like, we have to clean before somebody comes to clean. Like, yep.
She's not coming to clean your clutter.
Exactly. Clean that.
Right. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, and I like that you just said struggle to rub two nickels together, because I actually want to hear about that. Like, did you guys fall on hard times ever?
Absolutely. Yeah. Shoot, to even be able to buy the business was tough. We were pretty much living on one income, and it was, we did not, like, I've never been big into having the best of stuff. I'm not a brand name person. Like, I just am not. It's not that. I remember in high school, a friend of mine, like, giving me a pair of Jordache jeans. Like, come on, you've got to wear them. I'm like, I don't care if they have Jordache on them. Like,
So funny.
So it just has never been. I didn't care about having the alligator, Izod alligator on my shirt.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know why. Some people, they do.
I was somebody who did.
Yeah.
I had the Von Dutch jeans.
It did. I didn't care if you did. It didn't make any difference to me.
Right.
Like,
but I'm only going to have one pair of jeans.
Yeah.
Because they're too expensive.
You're supposed to have two pairs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything that I was ever, it wasn't like I was like anti, like nothing. It just,
right.
I saw something I wanted, I got it.
It didn't matter.
And I afforded it, that I could afford. I got it.
Right.
I didn't care. Like, so, and I wasn't raised, I mean, we were like middle class. It wasn't like, I was raised on hand-me-downs or anything. So like, it just wasn't something that was important to me. And so that was probably good with having a big family because I'd be frugal with the shopping, and they did it, wear hand-me-downs. But, and I always had friends, like we traded off things a lot.
Yeah.
And, meals, like, I made like, big casseroles or things that, that would last.
Yeah.
So, they didn't do, like, my kids will laugh. Well, it's kind of funny that I was in the award business because I was not a believer, and I can say this now since I no longer am in the business, and everybody getting a trophy. And so, things like that, like, and like, oh, they did great, we need, money from each of your kids to get a trophy. And be like, no, I don't need one. Like,
right.
They're fine. Like, they have a great season.
It was always that way too.
Yeah.
Like they've got enough.
Cake and call it done. Yeah. So
we had fun.
Yeah,
That's
we had
great.
fun. That was good. Or like the pictures. I'm like, I'll take a pic. Like when the photographers are doing the picture, I'm like,
right.
like, here's your picture. Like,
yeah.
But with 7 kids, I mean, it was
There's
just too
no
many
way.
to have that many pictures of the teams and so forth. So I think because of that, it wasn't something that I ever felt this need to buy the extras.
Yeah.
And the kids worked. Like they all, once they were old enough to work, they did that, and they wanted to go get their fancy shoes and clothes they could. So they all worked when they were old enough to mowed lawns, worked different fast food, and interesting. They've all appreciated that.
Yeah.
And they've all gone to college. All have great careers, and all of them had to help pay for their college. We did what we could.
Right.
They helped also, and it's worked out.
I mean, and now you're on the other side, so you probably have a complete different perspective. But I feel like a lot of young families, especially, I know when me and Richie were a younger family, we struggled big time. I mean, there were times when I had to go get groceries from my mom's pantry because I couldn't afford to go to the store.
But don't you feel like that made you like...
I appreciate it. And every single time I go to the grocery store now, especially when I'm going through Costco, there's not a day that I'm leaving there that I don't feel so much gratitude for what's in that cart.
Yeah, right?
It's like incredible how much.
It makes you appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for, the millennials get a bad rap, but, there's that the whole generation of feeling like they have to look like they have the best of everything.
Right.
And so kind of circling back to what I was saying, like I've never felt like that.
Right.
That I had to have the best of everything. And I feel sorry for, the young adults
that feel like they do.
That feel like they do.
And two, that's so much conditioning. And so I'll tell you this little story. I had earned a vehicle with my last company, and I talk about it a lot because it had so many lessons wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
But we had to get rid of it last year, and I had to really battle my ego on that because my business wasn't doing well. It wasn't covering the payment.
Right.
And I had to suck it up and get something else. Yep. And then it was like, well, I'm going to work my butt off to go back and get another one.
Yeah.
And then as I've worked through this year, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think the lesson that was learned from it is huge.
Right.
Yeah.
I had to go through that.
Yeah.
Because I might still be working towards, even if it wasn't with them, something else. Because it's always been on my vision board to have a certain vehicle. But now, like, we still have our same car that is 2009.
Oh my gosh, girl.
Like,
we had a 15-passenger van. That's why I drive my Jeep now. Because I can.
Well, it's like, why would I go get a car payment?
Yeah, exactly. We drove our cars till they couldn't drive anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I feel now. And I didn't feel that way in January of this year. Yeah. So it's been a huge year for really asking why. Why do you want those things?
Yeah, you always need to know your why.
If it's the keeping up with the Joneses, then
it's not the right reason.
It's not the right reason.
Not at all. Yeah, the other time when it was really, really hard was we got the business loan, just scraped everything we had together, all of our savings, like did everything to get this. So it had to succeed.
Yeah.
The business had to succeed. And Matt, he lost his job.
Oh, Jesus.
Right. Yeah. He worked in Northern Virginia and they shut down. So it wasn't that he was fired. They were closing that where he was.
Wow.
And so they gave him, I think it was like a month or 2 months severance pay. And I realized like, oh my gosh, we like have not like, and I was a year, like not even 2 years into my business. So I wasn't making money yet.
Yeah.
And I had to pay the rent. I had to pay employees. I had to, and that was like a sickening feeling that we could lose everything.
Wow.
Like we could lose here we have, 7 kids. We could lose everything. And to dig out of that was tough. Yeah. Like to, really dive in and figure out, like, I've got to figure out, like this business failing is not an option.
Right.
So he was looking for a job. He ended up having to go to Louisiana for a while to work.
Yeah.
So I'm like running the business, doing this, raising the kid, doing this stuff with them for 4 months. And then he found a job. He ended up getting a job through a friend, but it was in Tyson's Corner. So he wasn't even home much then.
Right.
So, but that was probably the scariest time with money.
Yeah.
Because there was so much to lose. When you're like just starting off, you don't have a lot. So you figure out, like, go get groceries for mom. Like, you figure out how to do that. You don't have as much to lose then. We were at a point in our life where we could have lost our house, could have lost the business, our vehicles. There was just so much to lose. And that was really hard. But he was able to get a job. And I can be very frugal, trust. Like, I am, like, one that is, like, I spend as little as possible, when I need to, you know. So we just cut back on everything. Pulled the kids from private school. Like, oh, we can give them scholarships, and I'm like, no, you know what? No, like, I don't know how long this is going to go on. Like, we have other options. Let's figure it out. And we did. And we made our way. He ended up getting. He was actually with the oil spill. Okay. That oil spill, the BP oil spill saved us because that's who he worked for, and so they hired him back to go out there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and do the IT there. That saved us.
Wow!
So that horrible oil spill saved us.
That's the silver lining,
right? So he was there for 4 months. I worked even harder to grow the business. I had the best friends in the world. Yeah. That jumped in and helped me. I've got this big order. They jump in and help. I could just pick up the phone. I am slammed. Can you come help me? I'm down an employee. They'd come help. Wow. And so I've always felt very blessed to be surrounded by people who are so helpful. I'll never forget, I went to, I don't have it on today. So when that happened, I was supposed to go with a group of friends to D.C. We were going to go celebrate somebody's birthday and go to a nice restaurant. And I was like, I can't do it. Right. We have no money.
And good
no
for
money.
You for saying that, because people would go and just use a credit card, and no judgment for somebody if they choose to do that, but that is
exactly.
The choice.
So I was like, I can't. I have to cut everything back. I cannot do it. Yeah. And I, it was my friend's birthday. I wasn't gonna so I get a phone call back about a half hour later. We all want you to come. I think there were six or seven of us. We all want you to come, and we're gonna we want to pay for it. And I was like, well, no, this is about you. This is your birthday thing, No, I'm not doing it. And no, we insist. You're coming. We're coming to pick you up. And I was so humbled. Yeah. But I felt as poor as, a homeless person on the street, and this group of friends, insisted that I come, pick me up, paid for everything, didn't focus on me, so I was glad of that because I was feeling embarrassed and and humiliated. Yeah. And we walked on the downtown DC. There was a little, they have the open market. Right. And there was a ring, and I wear it a lot. And it was $10. And I was looking at it, and it was pretty green. It was handmade, and I picked it up and I was looking at it and put it back down. And my friend said, "Are you going to get it?" And I'm thinking, it's $10. And I was like, I don't want, if I say no, she's going to say, well, let me get it for you. So, and I'm like, you know what? This is my last, this is the last thing I'm spending on myself for quite some time. And I still wear it because it's a sign of, perseverance.
Yeah.
Like, I bought it, spent that $10. I get so many compliments on it too. It's funny. This was, many years ago, and I still, it was a handmade one. And it just, was a sign of perseverance. Like, I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
Like, this is the last thing to buy for myself, but it kind of, you see the bigger picture. It's not about me. It's not about buying stuff for me.
Right.
It's, our family getting through this, and look how my friends have come together.
Right.
To help me.
I love that
So,
story.
yeah. So, anyway, that also ties back into saying, helping others.
Right.
I just feel it's part of what we're all called to do.
Yeah. Well, what's funny, too, is that you had that fear just a couple years before that you were going to be a sole income provider.
Yeah.
And you took action. What if you didn't do that? Mm-hmm. You guys would have been panicking.
Yeah.
So much more. Because you wouldn't have even... you probably would have had something, I'd imagine. You'd have had something. But
figure it out somehow.
Yeah.
But you can't give up. You can't quit.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You just can't quit. You have to, power through, dive in, jump in.
And feeling like, I love when you bought the ring, you realized that this is only temporary. Mm-hmm. This is not going to last because we get stuck in these ruts, I guess we would say.
Yeah.
And we think that it's forever.
End of the world, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, anytime that we've been struggling financially, I've thought, this is it. We're just doomed for this.
Yeah.
But you're not.
No, you're not. No, the day that Matt found out that they were laying everybody off, the next morning I couldn't sleep, and I was meeting a friend to run because I run at the time 5:30 in the morning. Now we're doing, I think this morning was 7. Still the same friend actually.
Hey, that's pretty early.
Yeah. So I went to my shop and just felt like I was gonna have a heart attack, and texted her and was like, hey, can you meet me here? We would meet somewhere else normally. Can you meet me at my shop? I've been here since 4 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And she came and met me. It was the first person for me to tell what had happened. And so for me, that moment was the moment of, I can either lay here on my shop floor and have a heart attack.
Yeah.
And just try to bury myself, or accept it.
Yeah.
Talk about it and try to figure out how to get through it.
Right.
And so that was a very defining moment for me, that, you know what, she showed up it was 5 minutes later. It felt like earlier than our normal run. And, we went out and ran, and I, was able to
get it
out and talk about it and, own it.
Well, and two, when it sits in our bodies, it only eats at us. Yeah. And that's when it causes problems. Yeah. Physical problems, heart problems, anything.
Well, that's like you were saying with the car that, that you had to, once you own it.
Yeah.
Isn't that easier?
Oh, and it took me a long time to own it.
But once you do, it's almost you just feel that weight off your shoulders.
You really do. Mm-hmm. You really do. And then I, too, know that when your back's against the wall, you find a way to fight.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody does. Yeah. Or you sit there and get stuck until you decide to fight. Mm-hmm. You get to decide, though, if you're going to fight or not. Yeah. Or you're going to just sit there and keep getting kicked.
I go back to that moment where I put that trophy on the shelf and said failure is not an option. Mm-hmm. And it just isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to make mistakes, and that's different than failure. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to learn. You're going to change ways of doing things. You're going to, things aren't going to go the way you had planned, but you're not going to fail. You're going to learn from it.
Right.
And figure out how to move on in a new direction. That's not failure to me.
No, I don't believe in failure at all.
Yeah. No, that's
and I didn't even see my last year as a failure. It was
it's a learning.
Huge lesson.
Absolutely. You learn. Look where you are now.
Yeah.
Look what you're doing now.
Yeah.
So it was a lesson in life. That's not a failure.
Right.
And, it's sad that people can be so hard on themselves and think of, a failure would be you sitting in a corner not doing anything and, being miserable and being depressed and, then,
No, I had that moment.
My cries. We've all had those moments.
I had that moment. This year, I had that moment.
Which is okay.
Yeah, but you can't stay there.
You can't stay there.
Yeah.
We need those good cries.
Right.
We need those. This sucks. I hate this. I hate what's going on in my life right now. We need those, to work through that. But that's not failure either.
No. Well, I sat in my husband's office, I think, in February and was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just do nothing. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll just stay home. Just focus on the kids. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll just do nothing. And he turned around. He was working. He turned around. He was like, is that going to make you happy?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, probably not.
Well,
He's like, yeah, I know you.
Yeah.
That is not going to make you happy.
And the best thing that you could always do is to look at your beautiful kids and say, you know what, I'm not failing.
Right. Well, because what would I tell them?
That's what really matters.
Yeah.
Right?
And what would I tell them if they were in that space?
Yeah. Exactly.
Take your time. Feel your feelings.
Feel your feelings.
But then get your ass up and go.
That's right. Figure out how you're going to work through it.
Right.
You know, what you're going to do to work through it to make it happen. So, you know, the other thing I say a lot is there's a plan A, but no plan B. So like in real estate, you know, I've got my plan. I'm going to be shifting it. I'm going to be changing it. I'm going to be redirecting it and learning. But my plan is to be successful.
Yeah.
If I think like, okay, but if I'm not, what am I going to do next? No, there's not a plan B.
Right.
Focus on my plan A.
Yeah.
Make that happen. Yeah. Dive in and do what I need to do, you know, to make that successful.
Yeah.
If for whatever reason, like life changes and all, and that doesn't happen, then you figure out.
Right.
Okay, where am I? What have I learned? How do I grow from this? What am I going to do next?
Yeah.
Because then you're like, well, that didn't work. That, you know, let me do plan B. And you're never going to feel as good about plan B then.
Right. Well, and where focus goes, energy flows. So if you're focused on the fact that you might have to do plan B, you're probably going to have to do plan B.
Yeah. So you focus on plan A and you do everything you can to make it happen. It isn't always going to.
Right.
But then you start a new plan A.
Right.
Which is where you are right now.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Just keep creating new plan. No, this was always plan A.
Yeah, because
it just got pushed aside for so long.
Exactly. And how are you ever going to celebrate? It was like sloppy seconds. Whoever wants to be the sloppy second,
right.
You know, like you're never going to celebrate that.
Yeah.
If you look at it like, well, I couldn't succeed in this, so I'm doing this.
Right.
You know, so much of it is attitude.
Yeah, and perspective. Which is huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now you're writing a book, though, and I really want to hear about this.
You heard a little bit just in our talk.
Yeah, but how? Oh, is this what it is?
It really is a lot on persevering, pushing through, just, looking at the positive in life.
Well, so many people say they're going to write a book, but then they don't actually write the book.
You know what?
How did you get to that point?
I don't know.
Did it just pour out of you?
Like there are things, like I wanted to learn to play an accordion. I learned to play an accordion. Like, you know, like just I don't see why we shouldn't do within reason. I mean, I'm a faith-filled person. Like I'm not going to go do like crazy stuff, but you know, like why shouldn't we challenge ourselves and grow and do things that like I always wrote. Like when I was a kid, I did poems all the time. I mean, they're cheesy, like I look at some of them, it's hilarious, but I always loved writing. I'm not a journaler, which is interesting, but I had I'm already thinking of my next book. I had a calendar like every year in high school, and in every square I wrote something highlight of the day. Yeah. Which I still have that. Like,
that's great.
I always love like just like, you know, like writing and thinking about like what happened, what was the best thing that came through the day. You know?
Right.
So I wanted to write a book. Well, I had a lot of people saying like, you know, you should write a book. You should write a book. Like yeah, I don't know what I'd write about. And so in real estate, I've been busy, but it's a different kind of busy than what it was being stuck at a shop all day, because my office is my phone. Yeah. And my phone can go anywhere. Right. And so I actually have more time, which is people find, like for agents that have been, and this crazy, they're like, oh my gosh, I don't have any time. Like I actually do. Like I have some time now because I'm working from home and I can step away from it. I've been able to have success in business and in real estate, but still find time for something I want to do, which I think is so important.
So important.
Yes. And I had to figure out what that was. Yeah. Because my life was different. I wasn't like running to the kids thing. I mean, I am great with time management, huge with it. And so I was able to I have this block of time that I've blocked out for myself. What am I going to do with it? And so, you know what? I wanted to write a book. Why haven't I done it? Let me do it. So, I sent it to a local author, actually, and I was like, you know, is this like something like I should just like show my kids? Like, oh, that's cute. And he read it and said, hey, I'd like to connect you with my publisher. I think it's good. So great. Yeah. So I've been, it should be like the first part of the year published.
That's awesome.
So, so we'll see. I'm excited. I'm super excited.
I'm really excited for you.
It's been a learning. I love learning new things.
So is it fully written, or you're still working on it?
It is right now in my publisher's hand. In fact, by noon today. He said he'll he's going through doing like the final edits and so forth. So it's pretty written unless he says, hey, you should add some things here and there. So,
wow.
Yeah. So,
well, I'm going to be picking your brain for this because I have said for a long time I want to write a book, but I am actually making an effort to get it done. So
do it.
I will be picking your brain. I have so many books in my head. So many.
Yeah, I think it's great. So actually, I've been talking. There's another Crown Trophy owner in New Jersey that's written a couple books. So like he and I've been talking. So
cool.
I'm all about like the connections that you've made over the years, still keeping those connections.
Yeah.
So
you know what? That's what. And I would probably venture to say this is why you've been so successful in real estate is because of the many years of networking you've done. Because people ask me, I've had people call me and say like, how have you gotten your clients? And it's like, I have to tell you, it has been 15 years of networking and communicating and putting myself out there. It's not something that just happened this year. It's you got to do the footwork and you got to go out and meet people and you got to be able to keep in touch or however that looks for you. And I've just spent so much time doing that. I'm sure you have too. I know you have.
Right.
Because I see what you're doing. And it's allowed you to now have your successful... Would you say that? Like your networking and your community is what helped you with that. And then also now writing the book, you have connections there. So
there's no doubt who we surround ourselves with matters.
Yeah.
And the connections and networking and the people over the year. I have this like vision of a net, how that's woven together, like each knot being like different people in your life and how like that net catches you. Yeah. And so like I've built a great net. I love that. And those are the people that are that when I fall are going to help me and catch me and not let me slam on the ground. And I'm so grateful for all of those knots in my life because I think that they've helped. I get a little like when you say like, oh, that's probably what made you successful in real estate and I think you would probably say the same. We work hard.
Well, yes.
And so anyone that says
work hard
even
too.
The, like, oh, you're so lucky you got into this.
No, I don't believe in luck anyway.
There are other agents that have been doing this for years that I've been able to like get to the same level or even better. Yeah. Because I've worked my butt off.
You work your butt off, but also you're kind to people. And you treat them well.
So the connections help. Yeah. And then I also think, which I know you ooze, is that integrity. Yeah. Huge. And so I'm not going to tell you to buy a house that you can't afford. Right. I'm like, I don't count I have no idea what my commission check is. Yeah. Until I get the thing at the very end when we're going to closing that tells me it. I'm going to always work for the client. Yeah. Not for the check. Yeah. And if you keep and that's the same with you. With your business. Sure. I am the same way. If you're working for your client, you're going to do just fine. Yeah. Now, the check and the money that's great. That's how we survive. Yeah. Wanting to grow in business, wanting, to grow financially. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. But as long as your focus is always first on how you're going to help somebody else, the rest follows.
It really does.
And that's having integrity.
Well, and honestly, that's probably what's built your business is your integrity and who you are as a person. You as ultimately. Well,
and that's what I'm saying. Like that's what you've done. Like you've shown people who you are and what you're about, and that you're going to be, their advocate and stand up for them and help them. I mean, you're telling me when we've talked before how people, come in and they don't know what's stressing them. Like you want to help them get rid of that stress, right? That is something. That's your vocation. That's something you want to help them do. Let's solve the problem. Yeah. Entrepreneurs are problem solvers. For exactly what we are.
You said something in the very beginning when we first started talking, and I'll tell you I have a lot of entrepreneurs come here and talk, and the consistent things are 1, problem solvers. 2, they had some sort of little racket or hustle when they were kids.
Isn't that funny, right? Yes. It is so true.
I did that too, for sure. Yeah. Well, my brother really did, but I piggybacked right on him with him and okay. And I actually started my photography business while I was in high school.
Yeah, see? It's it's just something that's there. Right. Something that's there. But you have to be smart and savvy too. Yeah. So, it can't just be there and you open the doors and hope people come.
And just to reiterate it, because you just said it, you have to have integrity. You have to operate with integrity, because there is a lot of business owners that maybe don't do things the right way.
Right. Well, they're doing it for the dollar.
Right. And maybe they're successful, but
yeah.
at the end of the day.
Right. And then I don't see how that can give you a purpose-filled life.
Right.
You
yeah.
know,
How happy are you
like,
in that?
Yeah. Or like, what is our purpose in life?
Yeah.
You know, if at the end of the day, my purpose is about, you know, how much money am I going to make? How fulfilling is that?
Right.
You know, so
I can never focus on the
something
dollar.
that goes,
yeah,
like that complements your main purpose.
Well, I feel like divine or God, this is the message that I get all the time. Anytime I've ever tried to count the dollars, especially before they come in, it's like, whoosh, nope, not happening.
And look, I mean, we survived. We didn't lose our house. We didn't lose our car. We didn't lose the business. You didn't lose your house. You know?
Right.
It's like, you just like, it's all perspective. Like, you know, like God takes care of us.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
And that's exactly what happened this year, is because we went down in income basically. And then I was like, you know what? We'll make it work.
You tighten up the belt.
And whatever happens.
Yep.
And
don't have to have the best of everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, go buy your $10 ring.
And I even told, I really should buy something to represent this year.
Well, to piggyback on that, I do think we need to celebrate our wins.
Yeah.
That's really important because we do end up like go. And I don't ever want like a closing to, I mean, it's silly. I have a bell on my desk, and whenever I have a closing, I ring the bell. Like, I think it's important to celebrate our wins because it's really easy to burn out if we don't.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's when you've helped somebody solve a problem.
Yeah.
You need to celebrate that.
Oh, maybe I need to get a bell in my office.
Get a bell. Like, seriously, like something to like do your happy dance.
Right.
You know, that is something that I think is really important because, you know, we're problem solvers.
Yeah.
And if we just keep going with it, you know, when I had my other business, I'd get an account, big account, whatever. I had like my employees, and we'd all jump up and down and be happy, and I'd buy everybody lunch, and it was great. And real estate was a little harder because you can't like, guess what? I just like you know got this client. I'm gonna sell their $500,000 house, and everybody else, they'll be like, oh well, she's showing off, you know.
Yeah.
And so that was a little hard because I'm like, I want to like jump up and down because like I'm super excited.
So what do you do?
I bought my bell.
Okay.
I bought my bell, and I was like, I'm going to have to find ways. And my husband.
Yeah.
Like.
Well, that's what I've told him. It's
like,
okay, here's a milestone. Once I hit this, we're going to celebrate.
Yeah.
But my clients come in, and I'm like, what were your wins for the week? And so we need something to be able to really.
Yeah. Ring your bell.
I mean, I'm all clapping and excited for them, but maybe we need something more.
Yeah, because I think it's just important to celebrate those. Too easy just to keep going.
Right.
And not.
And you said you get burnt out, but also you then start to feel like you're never good enough. You will constantly be feeling like you've not hit the mark. You're not doing enough. This isn't good enough.
Right. Yep.
So you have to be able to stop and turn around and look at what you've accomplished.
Yep. And I'm big fan of that.
Yeah.
It's so important to look at that. I try to do like monthly looks at my business.
Oh, that's
good. And I've always done that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look year to year, like January to January, February to February. And like what achievements I had. I do goals for each year. You know, just what my achievements are, what, look at the past month. What did I do? What did I do well? What do I need to do better? And celebrate the wins.
Yeah. You know what I've been doing is I do that too, but lately I've been sitting and thinking about my clients and where they were when they came in and where they are at this point now, however many months that I've worked with them, and just remembering all the things that they said on that first session to now. And I need to sit and share it with them, remind them.
Huge.
Yeah,
but absolutely.
those are my wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then that sounded funny to say that their wins are
so.
But it's
because, and then when you are able to do that and remind them of where they were, what a huge win.
Yeah.
Right? Like, look how far we've come.
Yeah.
You know, they probably like, oh, wow, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for you to share
because we forget the hard times.
Yeah.
And we forget.
Yeah.
When things get good, we start to forget how bad things or how hard something was. I don't know about bad, if that's the right word.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think, in the end, like, I'm not, and I know the same with you. I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves and work.
Yeah.
I like working.
Me too.
I don't want anything to be given to me. Like, I like working for where I am in life. And I mean, things are going to be given to us along the way, like help from friends and advice and that type of stuff. But I'm not one that just expects things to happen. I think we need to get out there and make them happen.
That's something that I really admire about you, though, is you will go out and make things happen, and you really do work hard. I can see that.
I mean, it's like, that's how things happen. It's,
I mean, even whether it's with real estate or the book or putting together, I saw your holiday mingle. It's this girl is working so hard.
Yeah, but it's fun stuff. I like it.
Right. And does it really feel like work?
Yeah, when you love what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
I know people think that's cheesy, and not everybody is able to work a job that they truly love, but when you can, it's
heck yeah.
It's
and
amazing.
I taught, like I said, my friend, the other week, like, why are you doing this? What would you be doing if you weren't doing this? And I think that's a question we need to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
And when I started feeling exhausted going to work every day and seeing things in my family, and, that, like, I need a change. I need to figure out what that looks like. And I took some time. That wasn't an overnight. It took me a good year to figure out. It was hard. It was like I lost my baby. Like,
wow,
because I started that from scratch and built it. And then I had to rebrand myself as an agent. And
was that hard, by the way? Was it difficult to switch?
It was, because as an agent, you are your logo.
Yeah.
So there's no logo to hide behind. In my other business, I had the logo. And so I was the owner of that logo, but that's what I put in. And the services, or the items, where I could showcase different, like, the recognition malls, or the different awards, or the different things, like, that was my marketing. And in real estate, you're marketing the things that you are. I mean, I'm my logo.
Right.
I'm the face of my business. I'm the one that, the product, it's everything.
Yeah.
And so that was really hard. And I had to sit and, like, I had to talk to my broker, who's been a great mentor to me, and kind of work through that, it's different than marketing a business shop, or, you're much the same, I would imagine, because it is your business.
I was just thinking that.
There.
Yeah.
And, it's different when you have a logo, a retail or shop somewhere, or office with your logo, and everybody knows to go look, for that.
Yeah.
You're marketing yourself and your business. So you're much the same.
It is different too with every business, because with photography, my work was able to just market for me. I didn't have to even
put that out. Yeah.
And then when I did my network marketing business, it was the products, and they spoke for themselves. And now with this, it's like, well, no, actually, you have to hear me and get to know me.
That's
to
exactly
decide
right.
if you want to sit with me.
The same thing I have is, there's a privacy we have to honor.
Yeah.
Of our clients, and not all of my clients want to be in pictures. Not all want people knowing what's going on in their lives. I have to ask permission first before I would post any.
Yeah.
But it can't be about my client's journey. That's a lot to ask somebody.
Yeah.
Can I do a bunch of pictures of you? Like, can I do a picture of you moving? No, you're never going to do that, because that's so private. It's their journey, and it's up to them to share that if they want to, not me.
Yeah.
And so the same with you. Like, you can't be sharing what your clients are going through.
Every now and then I'll drop something if it's like light and I know that it won't be identifiable.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying.
It's, I can't tell the story.
No, you can't tell the story.
Yeah.
That's not for us to do. And so you're kind of the same thing. It's like, we can market our services, we can market how we help people, what we do, but it's really who we are. And that's what makes somebody want to go. And that's why your business is growing so quickly. Like, they know who you are, they're learning who you are. And
I would say the same for you, though. And here you are, only been doing real estate for 2 years, and you've done amazing with it. You've even been called to be on a panel to help give guidance.
That was fun. That was a national panel that I was on. Yeah, that was
great.
So interesting. I was like, ooh, I don't know about a Zoom panel. This is kind of odd. But anyway, and then I was on a local panel not too long ago here. So,
but that's such a testament to who you are. And it is. It's so you have just done all these amazing things in your life. And I love that you came and shared even the hard times when you guys were struggling. And I appreciate that. I know it's hard to come and be vulnerable and share these parts. And I'm really glad you did, though, because I think that it's really easy to look at people and think, they just make it work. They have it all together. They're perfect. And I have heard that. People say everything you do works out. And it's like, well, you actually haven't seen the 8 other businesses that I started.
Exactly. Or absolutely.
That didn't even make it to
it was a thought, internet. But you had it. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I found it the other day when my last person was here that I was talking to. After we were done talking, I was trying to find something to show him, and I found one of my old logos that I'd created, a branding company that I was going to do. Okay. And we even met with clients and everything, but nobody even knows. It's like that's when I was spinning 8 plates at once. Yeah,
you got to like narrow it down. Narrow it down. And sometimes that takes some time.
Yeah. And what you got to sit with yourself and sit in that quiet. Yeah. I love that you took a year to decide to sell your business.
I had to figure all that out. It's not couldn't rush into it, and needed to figure out if that's really what I wanted to do, and what did Sharon Farinholt look like after that.
Well, and you've done so well. Even if you feel like this has been really hard, and I don't know if you do, from the outsider looking in, I think you do an excellent job. You're not a realtor that I'm going to turn and run away from.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Because I think that not to stereotype or generalize realtors, but there always seems to be a what's in it for me.
Yeah.
And that's with a lot of different businesses
life these days.
Yeah, not just not just real estate for sure.
Yeah. No, if at the end of the day, if I'm able to, help somebody through, I've gone and talked to people who haven't sold their house. Like, will you just come here and talk? I'm trying to, absolutely. Mm-hmm. I'll do that for you.
Yeah.
I had one agent tell me one time, like, why are you doing the extras? Don't do that. Like, you don't get paid to them. Like, because I want to.
Well, that's it. That goes back to you being kind, having integrity, and having your network.
Yeah,
it's like all these things.
Why wouldn't I? Right. People have done more for me.
Yeah.
Why would I not want to give to somebody else?
Right.
And so, I think it's something that's important that we should all be doing.
Yeah. So do you have any final thoughts, final words of wisdom to share with us? I know you have a lot of wisdom.
No, I think take each day, go for the gusto each day.
Yeah.
Embrace it as it comes. And when your mind starts like going like the what ifs, push those out, go for a walk, go do something, because we're all going to have, days filled with what ifs.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Don't let the what ifs and fear stop you from doing what you want to do.
I think that's great advice.
It's you got to put yourself out there.
Yeah, because we'll get stuck in that. What if this doesn't work? Or what if I lose this? And what if people judge this?
Yeah, don't do it. Don't get stuck in the what ifs.
Lean into what you want to do.
Lean into what you want to do. Put on some fun music and just drown out the what ifs. And figure out, how get in the zone. Figure out how to make it work. What's your training plan? How are you going to make it happen?
Yeah.
And figure that out and stick to it. Routine is huge. So,
will you be my life coach?
I'll do it. How can we tie it into real estate? Can I sell your house when you're ready? So?
Yeah. Yes, you can.
Thanks.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
Great. I love it. This has been super. Great conversation.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving me your time.
Oh, absolutely. I'll go back. It's much warmer in here than that with 20 degrees wind chill outside.
Oh my gosh, it is so cold out there.
All right. Well, thank you also. I appreciate all that you do and getting to know you better.
Yeah.
It's been great. Gosh, 4 or 5 months now, I guess? Yeah. Just
summertime to now. What a quick, fast... Right? I can see why people adore you because I already
you as
feel
well.
That way.
I know, seriously. No, it's. I love talking to other people that love business also.
Yeah.
So there's a passion that you see that, not everybody has. And, and I think some of that is like we've both gone to bed like with like, what is our worry that we go to sleep with? Like, how are we going to pay the bills? How are we going to, make our business work? It's not a 9 to 5 where, you can go to bed and it's somebody else's worry.
Yeah.
So once you share that with other entrepreneurs, there's a connection.
There really is. And it is, you just nailed all of that because it's what it is. You can't put it on somebody else. It's on you.
It's on you.
And we have that in common.
Yep. Well, you do a beautiful job as well. So
You
keep
too.
doing the good work. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If you are interested in getting Sharon's book when it comes out, I will be sure to update the show notes here. So jump back in January, February, whenever it comes out, and make sure you follow me on social media because I'll share it there as well. My Instagram handle is @lifewithmandy_, and my coaching handle is @LionheartCoachingCo. And then, of course, you can look up Sharon at Sharon_Farinholt_realtor. And make sure you go follow her podcast on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast from. It's called Keeping It Real with Sharon, and she posts every Friday. So just go ahead and add that to your list. And okay, that's all for today. I do want you to remember, of course, as always, that you are loved, you are appreciated, and you are valued. Bye now.